Looks like we're good to go here. Now we have some people joining us, so just sit tight for a minute, and I'm just going to admit a few more people here. Okay, looks like we're good to go. So it's 1 p.m. Let's get on the record. This is docket 9813 CE 100, the application for a CPCN of Silver Maple Solar for solar electric generation facility. And we're letting people into the public hearing here on Zoom. We have members of the public, commission staff, and the applicant representatives here to listen in. Oh, some more people joining us. Okay, this is good. So we're here to take public comments in the case. We'll do so on Zoom today at 1 p.m. and also at 6 p.m. We're also getting evidence from the parties and commission staff on Friday, October 13th at 10 a.m. using the same Zoom connection. And we're taking written public comments up until October 13th, which is a Friday, although the notice says differently. It's a Friday. That will be through the commission's website or by U.S. mail. We have, I believe, 52 comments currently on file, and so we'll continue to receive those up until the end of the day on Friday. Okay.
I saw the
so far.
Excuse me, Peter Ziegler. I saw the written comments that said Wednesday the 13th, so it's the 13th, not Wednesday.
Yes, that's correct. That's what I just said. Right. So we're using the date of October 13th, just like the party session Friday, October 13th. It's the same day for the deadline for comments.
Thank you.
All right. So we're here to take public comments on the case. Like I mentioned before, the comments that we collect here today live are being transcribed, and the transcript of the hearing will be provided to the commissioners and will be made part of the record in the case, along with the other written comments and the evidence that we receive from parties and commission staff. And our three commissioners who run our agency and make the ultimate decisions on these applications will review the record and decide on the issues in the case. Once a decision is made, a written order will be issued. It'll be emailed to the service list and put on the commission's website in the docket. So let's get started. We have a few members of the public in attendance. I know Peter Ziegler is in attendance. I talked to him before, so he'll make the first comment. Just want to give you some background, some of the ground rules here. I swear everyone in, so I'll call the witness's name and swear them in. Have them state their name for the record, and then give us your opinion on the case. That's what the comment is, essentially. The biggest rule to keep in mind is to just speak slowly and clearly, hopefully better than I'm doing right now, so the court reporter can transcribe what you say. That's basically your official statement to the commission. So with no further ado, I think we can get started. I'm going to turn off the notice so we can all see each other, and we'll take Peter Ziegler first. So I'm going to highlight you for the live stream. So let me swear you in. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. So give us your name and your comment, please.
Peter Ziegler, Z-I-E-G-L-E-R. Before I give my comments, you mentioned the Public Service Commissioners will make a decision. Is there a time frame on that?
We don't have a specific date for the decision. There's a deadline in order to process these cases, which is 180 days after we have approved the application is complete. So I don't have the specific date on hand for that at the moment, but I don't know if Christian staff might want to chime in and give us the deadline. It's a statutory deadline we have to meet to issue that order. Usually that would be in a few months. I think maybe a month or two from now. But so the decision would happen in that time frame, probably within a month or so.
So does that mean that the application is complete now?
Well, that's it's a legal determination. The commission gets the application originally and then deems it complete for purposes of processing this case. Then the case begins once the application is deemed complete for that purpose.
Okay.
So it gets supplemented, and people get to add their perspectives on it, and that all becomes part of the record that we make the decision on. But the application itself needs to be deemed complete just in terms of meeting the application requirements. And then the further process takes place after that. So that's the first trigger. And after the application is deemed complete, the commission has 180 days to make a decision. It can get an extension for another 180 days, but I'm not sure if we've applied for that at this time. I think we're on track to meet that initial deadline. But
okay, thank you for your clarification.
Yeah, sure. So go ahead with your comment.
So these are my comments. The Wisconsin Administrative Code PSC 4.21 states that the environmental assessment shall be a concise document that provides a factual investigation of the relevant areas of environmental concern in sufficient depth to permit a reasonably informed preliminary judgment of the environmental consequences of the project. Further, the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, requires decision makers to be fully informed of the environmental aspects of the consequences of a proposal prior to making a decision. I've reviewed the 71-page EA for the Silver Maple Solar Project prepared by the Office of the Environmental Analysis of the PSC. The EA fails both the scope of the Wisconsin Administrative Code and the requirements of the NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act. The staff is not, quote, fully informed, close quote. They do not provide a, quote, sufficient depth factual investigation, close quote, nor provide any science relative to avian impact. And when the staff concludes that, quote, it has not identified any potential environmental effects of the proposed project that could be significant, close quote, it is because they and their consultants do not address the most obvious environmentally significant impact, that being the impact on nesting, foraging, and migrating songbirds, shorebirds, and waterfowl. If one were to look at a map of Wisconsin, the silver maple developers could not have selected a worse location relative to avian impact. First, this project overlaps a 2,200 acre migratory bird conservation site, MBCS, including 202 acres within the fenced area. Secondly, based on the Wisconsin Waterfowl Habitation Conservation Strategy of 2020, was prepared by the Wisconsin DNR, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Services, and others. The project area of the Silver Maple Project is ranked among the highest priority watersheds to protect for avian species in Wisconsin. Third, the 6,381 acre Eldorado wildlife area is adjacent to this project. Fourth, there are 946 delineated wetlands by your consultants, totaling 316 acres within the project area. And finally, the project is surrounded by a number of glacial habitat restoration areas and wetland reserve projects. In 3.22 of the EAA, the staff admits, quote, there have been few studies of avian impact, particularly systematic studies of mortality at large solar facilities in non-arid environments, close quote. In fact, There have been none relative to nesting, foraging, loss of habitat, and migration of songbirds, shorebirds, and waterfowl, according to 3 experts. Chris Nicolai, who's the Director of Research at Delta Waterfowl, Bed Sedlinger, the Kennedy Groney Chair in Waterfowl and Wetland College of Natural Resources at UW-Stevens Point, and Taylor Fingers, Migratory Bird Manager at the Wisconsin DNR. The only references to avian studies in the EA are irrelevant to the impact on nesting, foraging, and loss of habitat. The EA cites 2 post-construction studies at the Two Rivers and Badger Hollow solar projects. They deal only with mortality. The applicant states that they have developed BMPs, best management practices, specific to the migratory bird concentration site to minimize impact on migrating birds. Almost 25% of the fenced area is MBCS acres. They cite no science to support their practices. Their revegetating by seeding is just conjecture as to, quote, improved habitat, close quote. While existing hayfields provide ideal nesting to early nesters and the cut grain egg fields provide necessary food on southerly migrations. This project of over 2,000 acres will be useless to all wildlife for 7 years. You know, for anyone that has observed one of these projects, and the Brownsville project right off of Highway 41 is a good example. You know, for 2 years during construction, that 800-acre site is a beehive of ATVs, trucks, cement trucks, material movement, etc. And the entire 800-acre ground is barren of vegetation. And so construction for this site, the Solar Maple Project site, is planned for 2 years. And then the mowing plans articulated by the applicant before the seeded grasses are fully developed will take place for an additional 5 years. So 7 years during the prime nesting season, there'll be no nesting birds on this site, or if they are, they'll be mowed over. The 3 experts cited above state in their professional opinions a large solar project will negatively impact nesting, foraging, and spring and fall migrations of songbirds, shorebirds, and waterfowl, and believe research and pre and post-construction surveys are necessary to determine the avian impact. And in fact, Chris Nicolai and Bed Sedlinger both said and stated that it defies not only the common sense of a trained wildlife biologist, but of the common man that migrating birds will seek out 800 acres of solar panels to nest and forage. I discussed the absence of any science to support the statement there is no short or long-term avian impact by this project with Adam Ingwell of the PSC on last week, October 5th of 2023. He acknowledged there are not any avian impact studies, but stated that the PSC may require such a study for a proposed solar project near Portage, Wisconsin. That will be too late for the 200 plus acres impacted by silver maple. In summary, the EA fails the environmental assessment procedures required by Administrative Code PSC 420 because it does not provide, quote, a factual investigation of the relevant areas of environmental concern in sufficient depth to permit a reasonably informed preliminary judgment of the environmental consequences of the proposed action, close quote. There are no facts cited to support a conclusion that there would not be a significant short and long-term impact on this 2,000 plus acres and the surrounding high priority watershed on avian species. Further, the EA fails the NEPA requirement that decision makers be fully informed of the environmental aspects and consequences of a proposal prior to making a final decision. Again, the decision makers can't be fully informed without the science to support the decision. The Wisconsin Administrative Code and NEPA dictate that either a full EIS be prepared relative to avian impact or that a science-based survey, both pre and post-construction, be conducted relative to avian impact to fully inform the decision makers. Such a survey would fully inform the decision makers on this project and all future projects in Wisconsin and the United States. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks for your comment. Appreciate hearing from you. Okay, we're going to move on to our next comment. I did want to mention, I did have a better answer for the last question about the deadline to make a decision in this case. And I do have in front of me the order from our chairperson extending the deadline, giving the commission an extra 180 days to make a decision in the case. So the deadline at this point is March 18th, 2024. And that file is in the docket on our ERF system. So you can review that if you wish.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take our next comment. I'm just going to go through the list that I have on Zoom, and basically goes alphabetically. So depending on your screen name. So we'll try Andrew Lines, Lines. Did you wish to make a comment?
Your Honor, this is Delaney with Silver Maple Solar. Andrew, Sarah Barrow, David Kuhlman, and Kelly Kunst are all representatives of Silver Maple Solar. So I guess I will defer to them on whether they have anything to say, but I don't think they'll be making public comments.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Yeah, we won't be taking comments from the applicant. So we do ask the applicant to appear so that that they can hear from the commenters themselves. But let me see. Oh, I think we just lost Andrew Lines. But okay, so yeah, no problem. So I'm gonna just rename their screen. So let's go off the record. Let's rename their screen names here. So Sarah Barrow was one, Kelly Kunst. And was there one more?
And David Kuhlman as well.
Okay, thanks. All right, great. Okay, so we do have a name that's not identified yet. It's really kind of difficult for me to read. So oh, the person just dropped out. Okay. So right now there is no one from the public connected. Okay, so let's get on the record. So we have no one unidentified on our participant list. So everyone identified here is commission staff or representing the applicant, as well as our one person who's already commented, one person from the public. So I am going to go into recess now, and we'll await any additional members of the public who wish to speak. Let's see, it's 20 after 1. So let's do another 10 minutes. We'll reconvene at 1:30 and see if anyone's connected to our system at that time. And I'll be staying online just to make sure I can introduce myself to those people. But we can people can turn off screens and well, everyone's got their microphones off. So basically we'll just be off until 1:30, and we will reconvene at that time. Thanks. All right, everyone, that's 1:30. So let's get on the record and check our participant list. We have no new people joining us on Zoom, so therefore no other members of the public that wish to make a comment are connected at this time. We will reconvene at 6 p.m. Same Zoom connection, and be ready to take more comments from the public. So we'll meet you back then, and we'll see if people do join us. So at this point, just wanted to thank commission staff, the applicant representatives, and our member of the public who commented for joining us today. And we'll be back at 6 p.m. So thanks very much. We're adjourned.